A red timer appears in the corner and ticks away the first second. The river is dark steel, the wind is crosswise, and the bridge is a black silhouette full of angles and blind corners. Enemy fire has already mapped the kill zones. Our engineers kneel in the mud with cold hands, checking lines, counting the spans, tracing the plan across a crumpled map. 12 minutes is not a challenge. It is a sentence. Either the span is ours before the timer runs out, or the battalion will be stuck on the near bank when the counterattack arrives. Minute 12. Recon moves first. 2 scouts crawl to the embankment, measure the water flow with a marked cord, and confirm that the right side girder hides a dead ground pocket. The platoon leader divides the bridge into sectors and assigns lanes. Machine gunners mark arcs on the map and aim to rake the parapets. The order moves in a low voice from ear to ear. When the smoke rises, everyone advances. No one stops on the midspan. Minute 11. Smoke pots hiss. The white wall gathers and drifts, opening and closing like a slow door. The enemy fires through it, but patterns show. Short bursts. A heavy gun at the far abutment. A rifleman on the left truss. The engineers clip safety lines to the railing and step into the gray. Minute 10. Wire shows itself like a black vein. Cutters bite. A sapper presses a boot to hold tension while another saws. Sparks spit. A burst punches the concrete at knee height. The team slides to prone, counts to 3, and moves again. The timer in the corner does not slow down. Minute 9. Suppression builds. The machine guns chug a steady rhythm that pins muzzles down on the far side. The river slaps at the piers. A raider team shoulders a light ladder, runs the near gap, and slams it across a torn section. Hands pass over hands. No shouting, only breath and metal. Minute 8. An obstacle charge goes down on a twisted barrier. The man with the firing device lies flat, waits for the wind to pull smoke between him and the target, and thumbs the circuit. The blast kicks a hole wide enough for one man at a time. The lane is narrow, but it is a lane. Minute 7. Casualty. A sapper sprawls after a fragment flicks his leg sideways. The medic rolls him against the parapet, clamps and wraps, and pushes him back toward the near bank with 2 carriers. The line closes because the space must not open. Minute 6. Midspan. The bridge shudders from another hit. The team keeps 3 points of contact, crawling the truss where the deck is cracked. A rigger sets an anchor and hauls a guide rope across the fault like a lifeline of dry land. Minute 5. Fire shifts. The heavy gun falls silent under the weight of the supporting platoon. The engineers speed up. They plant direction markers on the deck so the follow-on force will not lose seconds choosing a path. Minute 4. The far bank is close enough to smell damp earth. A trip flare pops. Smoke thins. The platoon leader commits the last reserve. 2 men break right to clear the abutment pocket while the rest flood straight through. Minute 3. The foothold forms. Weapons face out. A voice carries the signal. The radio clicks alive with one word. Clear. Minute 2. The bridge is still lethal. The team walks the deck again, fast and careful, tagging hazards with chalk and flags. A final charge is neutralized. The rope line is tightened. The machine guns lift to the far road. Minute 1. The timer burns red. On the near bank, the battalion begins to move. Boots hit the boards. The camera rides the first ranks across the span that almost killed them. The clock reaches 0 as the last engineer raises a hand. The crossing is open. The brigade will live to fight on the far side. The timer starts, and the recon team drops to a knee at the tree line. Cold air, wet ground, and the clatter of distant automatic fire. The bridge sits ahead like a bare rib across dark water. No time for ceremony. The lead sergeant raises a gloved hand, and the world narrows to tasks. First, the river. Current runs fast left to right. Leaves and foam streak past the center pier in a shallow V that betrays a submerged obstacle. Depth is darker near the northern bank, lighter over gravel shelves near the south. A fallen trunk spins in an eddy and vanishes, pulled under. That tells the divers the risk. That tells the boat team where not to land. Wind moves across from the west. Smoke will drift diagonally, not straight. The forward observer sketches the wind line on a map board and notes the gust intervals. 30 seconds steady, 10 seconds surge. That is the rhythm that will either hide a crossing or expose it. Now the fire sectors. Glass flashes in an upper window of the mill house beyond the far abutment. Not sunlight. Scope glint. One marksman at least. Two rough fighting positions show on the rise to the east, cut into the bank with fresh spoil. The angle of the cut and the slit width promise medium machine guns. Their arcs converge on the midpoint of the span and rake the downstream shallows. Tracer scars on the opposite guardrail confirm recent fire. The team traces imaginary cones of danger across the air, linking point to point. Range is paced and confirmed with reticle math. 250 to the near end, 400 to the far. Elevation drop is negligible at this distance, but the crosswind will push shots into the trusses. The support element notes correct holds and sets priorities. First the marksman, then the left gun, then the right. Obstacles reveal themselves if you look for patterns, not objects. The road surface is swept clean in a strip down the center where sentries walk. The edges hold grit and nails that have fallen from rushed work. That hints at hasty mines placed inboard from the curb. The engineer scans for repeat shapes, too even to be debris. There, 3 identical smudges against the 4th plank. Pressure plates under wood skins. The far bank shows tripwire geometry in the weeds, triangles leading to a stump that is not a stump. Charge housing, most likely a directional fragment device. The sergeant checks time. 90 seconds gone. He assigns lanes without speaking. One team maps the smoke wall, placing canisters upwind so the drift covers the midpoint at the exact moment the engineers reach it. Another team plots suppressive bursts in 5-second ladders to hold heads down while the lead element moves. The breacher frames his approach, counting steps from the left truss where the plates begin, identifying a safe seam along the rivet line. A gull lifts from the span, and the marksman in the mill shifts, careless. That tiny movement finalizes the plan. Fire order locks. Crossing points lock. Alternate routes lock. Nothing is perfect. Everything is sufficient. The sergeant takes a last look at the water, the wind, the angles of death. River red. Sectors red. Time spent, not wasted. He touches the timer clipped to his harness and raises his fist. The next seconds belong to speed and discipline. The bridge is a problem, and problems are solved by accurate reading and violent execution. Wind first. Always the wind. The platoon sergeant lifts a strip of cloth on a stick and watches it stream east, steady and cold over the water. The bridge is a black rib across the river. On the far bank, enemy guns are silent only because they are waiting. The kill zones are already drawn in their heads. The first man who exposes a shoulder will prove the math. Time starts. 12 minutes to blind the enemy and get steel moving. The smoke team breaks from cover and crawls to the waterline. Each step is counted. Each breath is an order. 2 men brace a launcher and angle the first mortar smoke round high. The tube coughs and a white seed arcs into the gray morning. On impact, it spits a flat bloom, then a second, then a sheet that the wind begins to drag across the open span. The platoon leader kneels over a map scratched into mud. Lines mark fields of fire from 3 machine gun nests, a bunker by the pilings, a rifle pit covering the approach road. He checks his watch and nods. Grenadiers pop canisters along the near abutment. Heavy pots thump into place and start to hiss. Thick cords of smoke pouring out like ropes thrown across the current. The river eats and carries them, twisting them into a shifting wall. Incoming cracks the air. The enemy has seen the first ghost of movement. Chips leap from the bridge rail. The smoke men do not look up. One drags 2 fresh pots. Another kicks a canister into a ditch and shields it until the valve catches and the plume builds. The wind pulls. The team adjusts. Too thin on the right flank. Add 2 pots. Mortar, shift 10 mils left. Keep the line unbroken. The first screen takes shape, but there is a gap mid-span. The enemy finds it at once. Tracer slashes through, hot lines stitching the void. A runner dives back over gravel, reporting the hole. The leader answers without raising his head. Push a second layer. Stack the smoke. Make the river into a moving curtain. White phosphorus rounds thud beyond the far ramp and blossom with savage light. The screen deepens, folds, begins to breathe. It is not a wall. It is a living thing, rising and thinning, swelling and tearing, responding to every eddy and gust. The squad treats it like an animal that can be guided. They feed it, herd it, patch it when it bleeds. Visibility drops to 10 meters. That is enough. The support guns open with measured bursts, not to kill, but to keep heads down. The enemy answers blind, angry, and off the mark. The bridge groans under the first assault team as they slide along the rail, hands on each other, boots finding holes by memory. A sapper halts to mark a weak plank with chalk, then is gone into the milky air. A gust threatens to peel the screen away. The sergeant is already moving. He yanks a pot by its wire handle, burns his palm, does not stop. He plants it on the exposed edge and kicks it upright. The plume catches the wind and stitches back into the main flow. The gap closes. The enemy fire falters, then rifles search wildly at nothing at all. 5 minutes left. The near bank is a factory. Empty crates topple. New canisters roll out. The mortar team keeps a slow drumbeat, one round every 20 seconds, never faster, never uneven, holding the ceiling in place. Men cough and blink tears that the gas masks cannot quite stop. No one lifts a mask. No one speaks. On the far side, shapes emerge from the brightness, low and fast. A gloved hand lifts and circles. Anchor the foothold. Signal ready. The leader looks once more at the shifting white valley he has built, a man-made fog that turned open death into navigable ground. Time continues to fall away. The path is not clear, but it is hidden, and for soldiers under sighted guns, that is victory enough to move. Engineers step from cover into the noise and grit of the near bank. The timer in the corner shows 11 minutes 52. The river pushes gray water past pilings scarred by earlier attempts. Smoke from mortar rounds blooms and crawls with the wind, but machine gun tracers still rake the approaches. The breach leader lifts a gloved hand, and the first team moves. Every second is planned, and every second fights back. They advance in a shallow wedge, bent under the weight of satchel charges, wire cutters, poles, and a folding ladder. Rifles from the support line hammer at window slits across the span. The engineers keep low, eyes on the ground for tripwires, hands on each other to keep spacing exact. A burst snaps off the deck, and one man goes down on a knee, then up again. No words, only hand signals and the rhythmic pull of breath. 11 minutes, 23. A coil of wire blocks the approach ramp, half buried in silt. The cutting pair drops to their bellies. One cuts, one holds. Sparks spit, a round slaps into the mud a hand width away, and the coil loosens like a sprung trap. The lane through is narrow. The team marks it with a strip of cloth, then flows forward, shoulders brushing the guardrail that offers no real cover. They meet the first obstacle at the head of the span. A wooden barricade locked with 2 mines wired to a pressure plate. The demolitions man traces the lead with a fingertip and shakes his head. No safe disarm under fire. Decision in 1 heartbeat. The team leader sets the clockwork on a small charge to kick the plate loose without triggering the mains. 10 seconds that feel like a minute. The support guns surge. The charge thumps. The plate flips. The mines stay silent. The barricade is hauled aside. 10 minutes, 32. Smoke thins. The wind shifts. A machine gun across the water angles to enfilade the deck. The ladder team slams the folding ladder to the rail, climb half height, and hang a curtain of smoke grenades on cords. New smoke spills, thicker, lower, rolling like fog. The engineers vanish into it and reappear 2 meters ahead, always forward, always searching for the next snag. A body lies by a torn plank, an earlier scout. They strip his bandolier and move. The deck groans. A gap opens to black water. Holes go across. 2 men crawl. Kits pushed ahead. Charges ferried hand to hand. One pole shifts. A man drops to his chest, fingers scraping wood, boots kicking air. 2 others clamp his harness and he is back on the deck, eyes wide, breath steadying. There is no time to catalog fear. 9 minutes. The far bank throws rifles and grenades into the smoke. The suppression team lays a wall of fire at muzzle height. The engineers slide to the right where the deck rises a fraction and offers a diagonal line that steals them a few meters of safety. A trip flare pops in sudden white light. Everyone freezes. Nothing follows. They move again, slower. At the near tower, they find a satchel of enemy charges wedged into a support joint. A crude timer ticks. The demolitions man presses a thin wedge between gear teeth, locks the tick, then shears the leads. Sweat runs cold down his spine despite the autumn air. He lifts the satchel, hands it back, and places their own charge to sever the mounting bracket. Denial is as important as breakthrough. 7 minutes 21. The team splits. One element angles left to clear a knot of sandbags. They toss a smoke canister, then a single grenade. The blast is sharp and final. The main element pushes along the rail, boots sliding on damp grit, shoulders bruised by recoil and shrapnel. The bridge feels alive, breathing, resisting, testing their math and their nerve. They reach the last third of the span. Fire is now ragged. The enemy is repositioning. The leader calls for the anchor drill with a clenched fist raised high. Men fan out, plant small directional charges on likely counterattack lanes, and mark a clean path with white chalk across the planks. The latter team hooks a rope to the far post for follow-on troops. The support line sees the signal and shifts fire to the flanks. 5 minutes 33. The first riflemen on the far bank rush the chalked lane and flood into the foothold. Engineers pivot to clearance. Mines off the approach are ripped out and lined on a tarp. The timer keeps falling, but the space opens, and with it the breath of a plan finally working. Final minutes. The bridge is not safe, but it is passable. The engineers sweep, mark, and wave the next wave forward. The breach is not a shout. It is a series of precise decisions, each made under pressure that tries to bend the spine. They do not bend. They step off, and they keep stepping until steel and wood and fear give way. Mud sucks at boots as the lead engineer crawls to the first strand of wire. The river is close enough to taste its cold in the air, and the enemy bank spits brief needles of light. Tom does not move. Tom is pushed. The sapper steadies his breath, counts to 3, and brings the cutter home. One strand down. The second sings with tension. He locks the jaws, palms trembling from distant impacts, and severs it clean. A gap opens no wider than a helmet, but now there is a way to snake through. Behind him, the probe team fans out. Poles slide into the darkness, tapping for mines, feeling for trip lines, drawing a slow map of pain. Each step is rehearsed discipline. Knees low, elbows in. Silence as a weapon. A hand rises, flat. Halt. The pole finds a pressure plate by the path. Chalk marks the danger. A second path is traced around it, narrow as a coffin lid. Smoke thickens as cans hiss to life upstream, drifting into the kill zone. The world narrows to a gray corridor and the drumbeat of suppressed fire from the near bank. The river itself begins to speak, a low, cold rush that promises both cover and death. Rafts wait under the bank, canvas skins trembling on their frames. The crossing point is set where the current bends. There the enemy fields of fire break for a heartbeat, and a heartbeat is all that is needed. The first pair goes to water. Web straps bite into shoulders. The raft dips and rises, heavy with gear, and the chill floods their sleeves. They push with paddles and boots, faces level with the black, listening for the crack that means correction, for the whistle that means go faster, for the thud that means never. Midstream, the current takes command. It pulls left, then surges. They answer with short strokes and low bodies, keeping the raft a shadow. On the wire gap, more cutters work in relay. Hands find new strands that were not on the photo. A low grunt, a knee on gravel, a sharp bite of steel. Another aperture appears. The path grows from a slit to a throat that can swallow a squad. A Bangalore section drags the tubes forward, elbows burning, and feeds them under a stubborn tangle. The fuse runs hot and brief, and the earth coughs out a ragged breath. The smoke folds over the burst and hides the new passage. The far pair touches gravel. They do not cheer. They do not look back. They drag the raft into reeds and melt into the bank, rifles out, eyes hard. Two men on a cold island in the middle of a war. Their hands make a single sign toward the near shore. The sign means the path is open. The sign means bring them. The sign means the river has been crossed. The riverbank is a shallow bowl of mud and shattered reeds, and the bridge throat funnels every round into a narrow storm. The clock bleeds seconds. Engineers crouch with satchel charges and grapnels, waiting for a breath that will not come. They will not move unless the guns speak first. The first gun barks from a sandbagged scrape 10 meters behind the forward line. The assistant gunner feeds the belt with both hands, elbows dug into the earth. The gunner rides the recoil, correcting by muscle memory. Tracer sketches a flat path across the far parapet, then steps up a handspan to rake the windows beyond. The squad leader calls sectors by hand signal, palm slicing left, then right. No one can hear words. The river and the fire swallow language. But cadence is its own order. 6 to 8. Pause. 6 to 8. Shift. On the flank, a second gun fires in pairs, not to kill but to fix. The pattern is deliberate. Edge the enemy back from the embrasures. Punch at the loopholes. Force heads down for 4 heartbeats. 4 heartbeats are enough to move sapper teams 3 meters. The assistant gunner counts the links passing over his thumb, feels when the belt begins to snake, kicks the ammo can straight, and lifts another can with his teeth clenched. He presses the new belt into the feed tray the instant the gunner thumbs the top cover. The change is a blink. The line holds. Incoming fire rips clods from the parapet. Ricochets crack around the tripod legs. A burst lifts too high and the gunner drags the muzzle down, resets the traverse and elevation screw a quarter turn, and goes back to the rhythm. The barrel is already darkening. The air stinks of oil and cooked paint. The assistant touches the spare barrel wrap, whispers a number, and they swap on the lull created by the sister gun's burst. The weapon lives again. Engineers scoot in the dirt, one at a time, never silhouetting against the white smoke that crawls low over the water. The guns widen and then pinch their cones to screen movement, stitching just in front of the bridge footings, then walking across the upper story where a rifle flashes. The squad leader throws a green panel to mark friendly line of fire. The gunners pivot a degree left. The far bank hesitates. A figure appears with a tube on his shoulder. The near gun snaps a burst at the corner of masonry. Chips jump. The tube disappears. The far gun answers with a longer string to drown the response. Belts run. Gloves darken. Breath rasps. Seconds die. Now the engineers are at the abutment. A sapper slaps a charge into a gap in the wire, tapes the lead, and signals a pull. The guns surge, louder, brighter, a false dawn of tracers. The enemy answers, but too late and too high. The detonation coughs, a gap opens, and the first team floods through. The guns clip their fire down and right, carving a lane. The bridge begins to belong to the assault. The order passes by gesture. Hold this rate. Do not chase targets. Do not burn the barrels. The line is a metronome of survival. As long as the guns talk, the engineers can move. As long as the engineers move, the bridge can fall. The seconds keep falling. The guns keep them alive. The timer bleeds away seconds. The far bank hammers the approach with machine gun bursts that rake the bridgehead from left to right. Smoke canisters hiss along the parapet, a gray curtain that tears and knits with every gust. The engineers move anyway. Low, deliberate, methodical. Every body a piece of moving cover. Every step a decision. The lead sapper drops to a knee at the choked entry. Rusted rails. Twisted wire. 2 concrete teeth horned with rebar. He tests the footing with a probe, marks a dead board with chalk, and waves the team forward in a 3 count. Security posts up with rifles and a light machine gun, firing short, vicious strings that hold the enemy heads low. Spent casings ring against the deck. The air smells of cordite, river mud, and hot steel. Bangalow rests slide forward in sections, clipped into a serpent. Hands find couplers by feel. Pins seat. Detonating cord is pulled from a bandolier and laid in loops across the wire and the iron braces, white chalk on black grime. A man with the blasting kit keeps his palms dry on his trousers, then cuts time fuse against the blade in his cap badge. The lengths are measured by habit and by fear. 12 inches for 12 seconds. Long enough to hurl a body flat. Not long enough to think twice. Contact. A ricochet needles a cheek. The sapper does not stop. He tucks a block of TNT under the joint where concrete meets girder, shims it tight with a scrap of wood, and ties a girth hitch of deck cord that bites and holds. Another block goes at the second tooth. A third kisses the rebar bundle that pins the railing down like a trap. The team works inside the rhythm of suppression. Fire, adjust, fire. The gunner calls empty, swaps belts, and resumes his hard metronome. A mortar shell pops short and showers the deck with gravel and glass. Ears ring. The hands keep moving. Priming begins. Blasting caps come out of their tin like relics. A cap slides on, crimped clean with pliers. No tremor. The cap and time fuse vanish into the explosive cavity. The detonating cord snakes from charge to charge, a simple series that trades elegance for certainty. The firing line is traced twice, once with the eyes and once with flat fingers that read the path like braille. The last seconds collapse. The team leader checks the sector. Smoke thinning. Tracers higher and hungrier. He gives the silent order. Fire team lifts for a brutal 5 count. Engineers punch igniters. Fuses spit. Bodies drop flat behind the low girder, chins in gravel, helmets biting collarbones. The blast comes in a stack. A white slap. A shove of hot wind. Screws scream loose. Iron cries. The charges cut the wire and break the teeth. The deck coughs dust in great gray lungs. Splinters rain, and then the rain stops. Silence never lasts. Return fire climbs the bridge again, but the path is open. The sapper who lit first is already moving, sweeping with the probe, kicking twisted metal aside, marking a safe lane with luminous tape. Security surges 2 steps and kneels, rifles forward, answering fire with fire. The timer in the corner ticks past another second. The crossing has its throat cut. Now the assault can feed. Cold spray from the river hits faces as the engineers slide the first raft into the current. The smoke screen drifts and thins, a gray wall that opens and closes like a faulty curtain. On the near bank, the covering team hammers short, disciplined bursts, raking the tree line and the stone abutment. The timer in the corner keeps moving. 11 minutes. 2 men shove the ladder bridge forward, boots sinking into mud that swallows their steps. A coil of rope passes hand to hand. The coxswain leans to trim the raft, reading the pull of the water, counting strokes, aiming for the quiet eddy below the pier. A machine gun wakes on the far bank. Splinters jump from the rail. The raft staggers, then rights itself. 9 minutes. A sapper drops to a knee and hooks the first ladder onto the pier lip. The wood bites. He tests it with his weight, then waves the second team forward. 1 man climbs, slow and deliberate, each rung a decision. Another stabilizes from below, shoulders braced, eyes up. Rounds crack across the river. The smoke coughs and clears, then folds back again. Nobody speaks. Every instruction is a gesture drilled into muscle. 7 minutes. The second raft pushes out with an ammo box, a bundle of stakes, a roll of wire. The first climber reaches the ledge, swings left, and anchors a line. The rope snaps tight, and the ladder steadies. Engineers begin a shuttle, moving bodies and gear across in a loop. A man slips, arrests his fall with the safety line, curses once, climbs again. 5 minutes. A mortar round drops long, then short. The covering team shifts fire. A flare fizzes and dies in the smoke. On the far bank, 2 sappers crawl to the abutment and plant a marker panel for the follow-on wave. The river keeps pulling, indifferent, relentless. 3 minutes. The improvised bridge is now 3 ladders wide. Traffic control takes over. Cross. Pause. Cross. The foothold grows. A stubby radio hisses. Green light for the assault group. 1 minute. The final raft noses in. Hands drag it ashore. The line to the far bank goes taut as a cable. The crossing is in motion, and it will not stop. The center of the bridge turns into a funnel of steel and splinters. Rounds rake the planking from flank to flank. A sapper goes down at the handrail, another drops beside the demolition kit, and the line hesitates for a heartbeat that feels like a minute. The clock keeps climbing. Smoke thins in the crosswind, and enemy optics find shapes where there should be only shadow. Every second that the span is blocked increases the chance that the whole assault collapses. The first jam starts with a fallen pack and a tangled rope. A raft team cannot pass. The lead non-commissioned officer drags the body clear, kicks the pack into the river, and orders the lane marked with a strip of white cloth. A machine gun team, pinned at a warped plank, cannot traverse. The assistant gunner tears the split board free with a pry bar and shoves the tripod forward. The gun barks again, stitching the far bank windows. Suppression buys a sliver of time. A mortar round lands short. Shrapnel shreds a section of the smoke canister line. Visibility returns where it is least wanted. 2 engineers crawl with a spare canister and reignite the screen, counting off the seconds for burn time. Another team finds that the Bangalore torpedo will not slide beneath the last coil of wire. The solution is brute and simple. They lift, they angle, they drive the section with a boot heel and a sledge. Detonator cap, fuse, spark, blast. The gap opens just wide enough. Medics work in the spill of light from a shattered lamp, silent and fast. Tourniquet, compress, move. Casualties roll to the low side of the deck, tagged, and ready for backhaul. A corporal ties a slashed handrail with comms wire to create a guideline. A signaler plants a strobe at knee height so the column can see without raising heads. The span breathes. Teams flow again. Charges pass hand to hand. The far bank foothold grows from 2 rifles to 6, from 1 crate to 3. The bridge does not look heroic. It looks used, burned, wet, and barely holding. It is enough. The clock keeps running. So do they? Minute 7. The first rafts bump the far bank and stall in the reeds. Mud swallows boots to the ankle. Incoming rounds nick the water and hiss into the clay. The smoke line holds but thins at the edges. Every second matters. The engineers move first, low and deliberate. Rifle slung, tool rolls out. 2 men secure the mooring lines. 2 rake for tripwires. 1 scans with a field periscope. The team lead marks a shallow curve in the bank with his glove, the only strip with firm ground. That is the wedge for the foothold. Claymore threat. The probe man sweeps, finds a taut cord under a root. He pins the line with a forked stick, clips, and bags the blasting cap. A rifle squad floods the gap, kneeling in a staggered fan to cover the arc of expected fire. A light machine gun nests behind a rotted stump and begins a disciplined rhythm. Short bursts, counting between breath. The rhythm tells the next raft where to land. Minute 8. The first pickets go in. Sledge, sandbag, picket. Repeat. A breastwork takes shape from sandbags hauled across chests and dropped with a dull cough. A camouflage net drapes over the bank crease to break silhouettes. The signal man raises a panel low to the ground. The color code says foothold established, but not secure. He keeps it up only 2 seconds, then drops and crawls. A grenade lands short. Mud takes the edge off the blast, but fragments bite forearms and 1 cheek. The medic is already moving. Tourniquet, gauze, pressure, move the casualty to the lee of the sandbag wall. The casualty hands over his bolt cutters with a bloody grin that is more bearing of teeth than joy. The operation does not stop. Minute 9. The assault ladder hooks the lip of a shattered abutment. A 2-man fire team scrambles up and sweeps the crest, then lies flat, rifles trained along the ditch that parallels the road. The demolition pair crawls to the culvert mouth and clears it of a wired satchel charge. The culvert becomes a crawlway for ammunition and more sandbags. Minute 10. The foothold doubles in depth. 2 trenches, shallow but continuous, connect raft landing to abutment to culvert. The machine gun shifts to interlock with a second gun just arrived. Packs become parapets. A squad leader drives a picket sign into the soil. It shows a simple arrow. This is the route for the rifle company. The timer pushes forward. 2 minutes remain. Minute 11. The radio crackles. Suppression shifts left. The smoke team pumps a fresh screen. A final raft noses in with the reserve charges. The lead engineer raises a fist, then points to the road. The foothold is no longer a smear of men on mud. It is a shaped position with fields of fire, a casualty bay, a marked lane, and a plan to expand. The signal panel goes up again. This time the color code says secure. Minute 12. The counterattack starts to probe, but it meets sandbags, set guns, and men who own this bank. The foothold holds. The bridgehead lives. Boots hit the far bank and the clock keeps breathing in the ear. The bridge lies still for the first time tonight, but stillness is a trap. The lead engineer kneels, gloved hand on cold steel, and starts the sequence. Mark first. Orange panels slap down along the curb. Chem lights blink to life in a tight pattern that means safe lane. Tape arcs from girder to girder, guiding headlights that have not yet arrived. A rifle squad covers the angles, muzzle steady, eyes hunting for the next bad surprise. Clear next. 2 operators crawl the underside, harnessed to the lattice, moving like mechanics inside a ticking watch. They probe rivet lines for pressure triggers, trace fresh wire that blends too perfectly with old paint, brush grit aside, and find a nail that is not a nail. A shaped charge puck hidden under a drain lip. 1 breath, 1 clamp, 1 snip. The blast cap slips into a pouch. The drain runs black again. Up on the deck, a sapper drags a roller across suspicious plates. The drum rattles, then sings clean. He chalks a big X with a stuttering hand and moves on. Under the arch, a second team sweeps for magnetic surprises on the piers. A diver in a dry suit shoulders the current and checks the footing. Silt blooms, then clears. He surfaces with a thumbs up and a cough that sounds like gravel. On the span, a wounded man grits through bandaging while his buddy scans the tree line. A mortar round drops short and showers the rail with sparks. No one looks away from their task. The net hums. The platoon leader checks the lane with a final walk, toe to heel, counting steps, counting seconds. He plants a strobe at the far marker. The light beats a steady heart. The radio call climbs the net. Green flare hisses into the night and hangs like a small star above the far bank. Engines on the near side growl awake. Headlights hooded, tracks clatter. The first vehicle noses onto the deck, finds the marked lane, and rolls. Bridge secure. Marked, cleared, and alive. The clock keeps breathing, but now it breathes for us. The clock starts at 12 o'clock. Wind tears the river surface, smoke pots hiss, and every second demands a choice. This is not theory. This is a countdown measured in breath, blood, and meters gained. Minute 12. See before you move. A leader kneels behind a culvert, reading current, eddies, and arcs of fire. Sectors are sketched with a gloved finger on damp ground. Targets are assigned. No one is guessing. Minute 11. Smoke is a weapon. It is placed, not thrown. Upwind. Layered. Renewed on a schedule. The veil is imperfect, so the suppressing guns speak in disciplined bursts, not panic. Minute 10. Engineers step off in pairs. One probes, one covers. Pace is deliberate. Speed without control is waste. Wire is cut at waist height and ankle height. Gaps are marked with tape and chem lights. Nothing is left to memory. Minute 9. Radios confirm lanes open, not safe. Safe is a promise the battlefield does not keep. A team pushes rafts under the bridge shadow, where ricochets die. Another team checks pilings for charges that do not exist yet, but could. Minute 8. A jam threatens the crossing. A corporal splits the stack and opens a second lane. Redundancy is not luxury. It is survival when friction appears from nowhere. Minute 7. Charges are set to breach an obstacle that may never be seen by the enemy. Preparation beats reaction. The firing line holds a steady cadence. Barrel changes are planned. Water for guns is as vital as water for men. Minute 6. Casualty. Tourniquet on. Breathing checked. The team shrinks and keeps moving. The strongest carry loads from the wounded without drama. Mission absorbs pain and continues. Minute 5. The far bank is touched. Not secured, touched. A foothold is a wedge, not a wall. Claymore fronts are aligned. Fields of fire cross. A single machine gun becomes a net. Minute 4. Signals travel. Panel up. IR strobe on. Artillery shifts to deep targets. Smoke is renewed again. Gaps are remarked. The plan survives because details do. Minute 3. Ladders bite concrete. A sapper ties off a line that saves 3 slips later. Small decisions bend fate. Minute 2. The bridge deck is cleared in bounds. Every angle is checked twice. Ammunition is redistributed on the move. Minute 1. Green for go. The route opens. Convoys will live or die by what was done here. This is the lesson. Battles turn on minutes. Minutes turn on micro-tactics. See, mark, suppress, move,